If you happen to visit any of the government officials' office, may it be your DC office or SP office, you know, even to the highest level, that is secretary level office, one thing which you find common is this: a newspaper. They say that old habits die hard, and this is one particular habit which made them officers, and they still continue to read newspapers till this day. You know? But this particular habit is fizzling out amongst UPSC fraternity. That is because of various reasons, because they are resorting to shortcuts, you know, year-end compilations ho gaye, or whatever, monthly magazines, etc. But if you are preparing for 2027, then this will be a make it or break it resource, and you will be thanking me at end of your selection, because you are building this habit from day one itself. You know, even if you have started your preparation and have not incorporated this particular resource in your preparation, in this video we will be helping you out on how to begin with the newspaper, how to read, how to make notes, right? Each and everything A to Z. Also, we'll be scrolling through a particular newspaper, and we'll be helping you out on how exactly to pick the news and how to make notes out of it. You know? So without further ado, let's begin this session. Now, why exactly should you be reading newspaper when there are already magazines of coaching available? है ना? First things first, it builds discipline. आज का न्यूज़पेपर आपको आज ही पढ़ना पड़ेगा, right? 14 pages of information, है ना? You cannot pile it up day after day, and you can't postpone reading that, है ना? आज का न्यूज़पेपर you have to read it today itself. So if you are sitting for, let's say, 1 or 2 hours for reading newspaper, you might eventually sit for further hours as well. 5-6 घंटे you can pull it off if you have compulsion to sit every day for 2 hours. You know, every day morning if you are waking up and sitting for 2 hours for reading newspaper, it will set up a tone for the entire day. You know, so that's why discipline is imbibed by reading of newspaper. Second thing, the syllabus coverage. Amongst all the general public, only a few government exam aspirants are the remaining ones who are reading newspapers these days. And that's why these newspaper editors, they are drafting their newspapers according to the demand. You know, जो भी news आजकल आ रही है newspaper में, that is framed in such a manner that it is helpful for the government exam aspirants, especially UPSC and other grade A examinations. You will find various sections of newspaper which are dedicatedly given for UPSC aspirants. Yeah? So you will be covering your syllabus coverage indirectly by reading newspapers. Third, you're completing parts, your syllabus parts, in smaller fractions. है ना? You don't have to flood yourself कि भाई entire polity I am reading it at once. You will have diversity of subjects when you are reading newspaper. You know, you will have polity, you will have international relations, you will have environment, right? Third thing, you are defeating small battles every day. You know, each day you are covering smaller topics, let's say of polity, economy, and international relations, environment, right? So you are covering syllabus parts and parts, and eventually what you will do is you will cover entire syllabus and you will not even know that you have covered it. You know, so this is a very intellectual way or wiser way of covering syllabus if you have started to do so. Now, which newspaper particularly should you follow, right? Now, which newspapers you shouldn't follow, let's do that, and remaining ones you can automatically follow. Any glamorous newspaper or politically too much motivated newspapers you can avoid. That is first thing, right? For example, your Times of India ho gaya, right? Dainik Bhaskar ho gaya, or any local newspapers which you are following, you can stop following them because they don't add any value. They influence your mind in a particular manner that your mains answer might deviate from the demand of UPSC. Okay? So what exactly can you follow? There are a few particular names, Hindu ho gaya, Indian Express, Mint, etc. Right? But the first two names are very prominent. Right? Hindu, the language is a bit complicated compared to Indian Express. Now, from the past 2 to 3 years, Indian Express itself is orienting itself towards UPSC preparation. So Indian Express is a very good thing, especially for mains, I would suggest. Okay? But Hindu is an age-old newspaper and most trusted by UPSC aspirants. So you can continue following Hindu as well, right? Language itni bhi complicated nahi hai ki you don't have that basic comprehension. Now, what are the prerequisites before you start reading your newspaper? एक चीज that UPSC itself provide is the syllabus copy. You must be knowing end to end the syllabus copy ke keywords. Now why this is necessary? Because you must be knowing where exactly to stop. ऐसा नहीं कि whatever news is coming you are starting to consume it. You have to see the article and you have to correlate with the syllabus copy. If it is fitting right in any of the syllabus keywords, then I will read it. If not, you can just skip the newspaper, that particular article in the newspaper, है ना? So you must be knowing what are the exact keywords कि भाई welfare schemes mentioned है या नहीं है, right? What are the issues related to development and management of social sector services, poverty and hunger, है ना? These exact keywords, eventually you will be by hearting them. You just print it out and paste it in your study table or कहीं पे and go through it for 2 to 3 days, है ना? So फिर you will remember each and every keyword because most of the honest UPSC aspirants they do remember entire UPSC mains वाला syllabus. ठीक है? This is the only prerequisite required for you to start reading your newspaper. It's not that you had to complete this particular standard book or NCRTs or etc. before reading the newspaper. Because most of the general publics are also reading, right? They are able to understand. So आपको तो आराम से समझ में आ जाएगा newspaper. Now, yeah, what to skip in the newspaper, right? Before getting into how to read the newspaper and what to do it, I will relieve you a bit because let's say कि 30 to 40% of the newspaper of the 14 pages which you get, many of the things you can skip for now. The first being economy. Economy is one subject which you have to do phase wise. You have to build a foundation first. You should know the basics. You should then cover the standard books. And only upon that you can cover the current affairs related to it. Okay? So for now, economy can be skipped and you can rely on any of the compilations including Convert IAS. So we do have our own monthly magazine. So you can rely on that for understanding the economy related topics. You cover your basics first. Then later, let's say in the month of November or December, you can just go through entire year's economic current affairs and understand what exactly happened in them. Second subject being the international relations. International relations things subject is a very slow pace thing. So most of the things it will take months, right? First leaders meet, then they draft any agreement, then they have debates on that. There will be amendments by Trump, etc. So fair, you need not follow each and every peculiar details of that, right? So easily you can skip international relations and again rely on coaching magazines for this particular subject. And third being the sports section. No doubt, UPSC prelims में 2 to 3 questions have been appearing in the past 2 to 3 years from sports section. But if you are a sports enthusiast and you are following a particular sport, then continue to do so according to your interest. एग्जाम के लिए कोई स्पोर्ट्स फॉलो करना मत स्टार्ट कीजिए क्योंकि लास्ट 2 to 3 years में दे हैव आस्क्ड ऑन क्वेश्चंस ऑन चेस, क्रिकेट, हॉकी, फुटबॉल and as peculiar as the scores of the matches, right? Last year they asked कि भाई what was the men's score, what was the women's score, right? You cannot remember even if you are following a particular score sports, you cannot remember to that details. So that is a very big trade-off compared to the time and the efforts towards compared to the result which it is giving. So you can comfortably skip those 2 to 3 questions, and if you are mastering the other subjects, you can easily score more marks if you put these efforts there. Okay? So you can directly skip this section. Now how to exactly read the newspaper? Let's begin with it. First doubt which you might be having in your mind is, should I be making the notes out of the newspaper or not? The answer is both yes and no. Yes, in the sense you are making notes not from the current affairs but for your static part. I'll explain you how. Each and every day, let's say there are 15 to 20 topics related to UPSC which is coming on the newspaper. And if you are covering it phase wise or subject wise, it is very unlikely that you might come across that particular peculiar detail regarding that subject or not. For example, let's say speaker removal or there is MLA removal which has been coming in the past 1 or 2 days. There will be very peculiar details which your standard books such as Lakshmikant or DD Basu, they will fail to mention to that extent, right? Because polity is very dynamic. Each and every day you will come across very peculiar cases which might not be in the constitution at all. It has to go to court and the courts decide to what step they have to take in the future, right? So if you are doing, if you are picking up such topics and then you are reading the static portion of it, then you will understand that static in a better manner. You know, reading current affairs through static, sorry, reading static through current affairs is a very wise thing to do. You know, because you will be reading something which is very relevant for your upcoming examination, prelims and mains. You know, first thing first. Second, you are reading at a very peculiar level which has been missed out from the standard books which you have covered, right? So you have to make static notes out of the current affairs or update your static notes out of the current affairs. Now, why did I say no to making of notes? You don't have to replicate each and every peculiar or factual detail which has been mentioned in the newspaper in your notes, right? Because if you are starting, even after watching this video, if you are starting from tomorrow itself, you are having roughly around 15 months. 15 months का आपको न्यूज़पेपर नोट्स जो है कम से कम इतना मोटा हो जाएगा. And the main purpose of making notes is making sure that you revise it. Just to decorate in your room, if you are making any notes, then burn it. Okay? So for that reason, you can rely all these factual details from any of the standard coaching institute wala current affairs magazine. Now, if I'm repeatedly telling that if you rely on current affairs, magazines or notes of current affairs from institutions, why exactly are you reading it? Because there are a few sections in the newspaper from which you can train your brain to think in an analytical manner, to build pointers for your mains, and have critical thinking. So there are few sections in the newspaper that are necessary for you to follow, right? Other peculiar or factual details you can do from Coaching Institute magazine, because they will be doing all the extra hard work which is required, and they will be giving it to you readily. Okay. Now, second thing, extrapolation. This is an art which you have to learn and which you have to imbibe in your UPSC preparation for the upcoming 1.5 years. Now, what do you mean by extrapolation? I am giving you particular small information, then you expand it, what are the associated things surrounding it, and you study each and everything about it. That is called as extrapolation. Now, how do you extrapolate? Now, before it was very tough for aspirants to extrapolate because they had to frame their own questions, right? What exactly can come according to this, right? What is related to this? They had to frame all their own questions, and then they had to Google. Then they had to search from the particular websites of Coaching Institute or Wikipedia, say, then make notes out of it. Now this whole tedious work has been solved by artificial intelligence. Now let's say in this particular newspaper, let's say there is something about PSLV. ठीक है, कोई PSLV का article आ गया. Now how do you extrapolate what can be read more about PSLV? You can just put into ChatGPT or Gemini that I have completed reading about PSLV. What are the extra things which I can read according to this topic, right? तो फिर it will give it to you a particular list कि भाई GSLV भी पढ़ लो or read about SSLV also, है ना? Then afterwards it might also suggest कि read about orbits. What are geosynchronous orbits? What are geostationary orbits? What are polar orbits? Read about these. So each and every day you have to pick up 3 to 4 such extrapolation के topics. What I mentioned, 15 to 20 topics आते हैं UPSC related in a newspaper. You have to pick up just 3 to 4 topics and read it in depth like this. Now, what about other things? That's where I have written this FOMO. You need not have that FOMO कि भाई बाकी चीजें I am not reading in depth and it will go away. You are reading the newspaper for a duration of 12 to 15 months. And ऐसा नहीं कि एक बार जो न्यूज़ आ गई वो गायब हो जाएगी आगे जाके, right? The things are very much recurrent. PSLV और रॉकेट लॉन्च each a month और each alternate month जो है एक ना एक जो है आता रहता है, लॉन्च होते रहते हैं. You can cover it then, है ना? May that be of polity or environment, each and everything. It will either appear in editorial or as an analysis of the previous month. Kahi na kahi it will again reappear and you can do it then. And if you are not able to do that, or if you are forgetting to do that, anyhow you are following a particular Coaching Institute ki magazine, you can read from it and understand. Okay? But initially you have to hustle, initially you have to make efforts, because From my own experience and many of my sincere aspirants who have cleared the examination, through their experience, one thing is established: when you yourself are putting efforts and learning something, that you will retain it for a longer time, rather than something which has been spoon fed to you. That will be very volatile thing, you know. So for that thing, I'm consistently insisting you कि भाई do your own efforts, make your own notes, do your own googling and chat GPT, because that will help you in retaining for a longer duration. Okay? Now, this was just the theory part. Now let's just apply it in a particular newspaper and see how we can read the particular newspaper of a particular day. Right? So I don't know what is the date of this. I think so 25th March or 26th March का ये newspaper है, and I don't know when this new video is going live. But this is just an example how you can extrapolate things, you know, how you should be going through the things. Now, for example, in the first page itself, there is a mention of Strait of Hormuz. You know, geographically, it is very important. You know? So you read about Strait of Hormuz, you read what are the countries neighboring it to it, what are the water bodies it is connecting. You know? Once you read this, again you extrapolate. What are the other straits in that region? Bab al-Mandab Strait is there, Suez Canal is there, right? So what are the other straits, or what are the other channels available in that region? You extrapolate and read it. Okay? So that's what I was mentioning, कि भाई what is extrapolation. Again, each and everything which has been there on first page, apart from politically motivated articles, are important. Okay? First page is always important for any newspaper which you are following. Even if it is politically motivated, you can pick few UPSC related things from that as well. For example, in this article, there is a particular political organization which has promised ration card holders free dal, cooking oils in his manifesto. Now, if you are following news or if you are following any politics as well, there is a persistent issue of freebies. Right? What are freebies? Free things promised by political parties if they come into power, right? Unconditionally. So, this freebies was very much in news because CAG also gave a report regarding increasing fiscal deficits of few states because of this freebies. So if you are going through this newspaper, you just have to pick this up, that freebies jo hai, it is also mentioned in the syllabus copy, not exactly, but Representation of People's Act. That covers entire things related to elections. You know? So if you are reading about freebies, what are pros of it, what are cons of it, just have an idea. Just you can ask ChatGPT and get 3 or 4 major points, right, which you can have recollection while you are writing your mains answers. So that was just a example कि भाई कैसे you can pick up exactly what is relevant for UPSC from newspaper. If you are having difficulty in picking up, we will come up with a separate video in exactly how to read the syllabus copy and exactly identify those articles. ठीक है? Subsequent video will be that. Now, coming to the second page, which is always the newspaper according the local news ka. You can completely ignore this page. Right? Even the third page also, there will be local. Now coming to the fourth page, this is where your actual application of knowledge comes into picture. है ना? जो भी मैंने बोला था कि syllabus copy पढ़ो, the keywords को identify करो, read those articles and identify where it fits right. है ना? For example, speaker accept resignation from so and so MP, so and so MP from Assam. Now, if you are reading this news, what you have to do is revise your static. Okay? If you have read about speaker and its resignation, members of parliament and their resignation, you have to revise ki whom they submit to their resignation to. Is it compulsory for the speaker to accept or not? है ना? What are the remedial measures if what happens to their particular constituency? By elections होने चाहिए नहीं होने चाहिए? Each and every peculiar details is necessary because UPSC is asking polity questions to that depth in the off-late examinations, right? Now, again, this particular state page is important, as I said, and all the other subsequent state states wale pages mein you have to pick up news according to the syllabus keywords. Now, Coming to this controversial thing which most of the aspirants and teachers, everyone, they debate, should we be following editorials or not? The answer is plainly yes. You know, because even if you are not gaining much information or any tangible information from them, that builds comprehension. You know, these editorials are written by eminent personalities and their thought process will be very coherent. ठीक है, ऐसे स्मूथली फ्लो वे में थिंक करना और लिखना, it is possible only if you are having that much of experience. So if you are writing good essays, if you are writing good examples in ethics and etc., it is very likely that they were following this particular editorial sections religiously. क्योंकि see, there is something related to lockdown and lessons in leadership. Okay, if this can be a directly mains question. So if it comes as a mains question, all these side headings which are there, they automatically becomes your dimension, and उसके अंदर जो भी pointers है, that becomes your pointers, right? But few editorials have to be avoided. How to avoid them? You can read the description. I don't know if it is clear what has been written here or not. This particular person is a general secretary of a political party. Okay? Any politically motivated thing, either they will rebuke the government or they will over appreciate the government. That is clear, right? So anything which is over crossing or being extremely appreciative or rebuking, you can avoid that. So you can completely ignore this thing. Second thing, this two articles are directly written by editor of the newspaper. You can always skip this because Hindu is a particularly considered as a leftist newspaper, and many of the things are written very much against the government. है ना, इतना अगेंस्ट जाने की जरूरत होती नहीं है, right? They write very derogatory language and etc. So this two articles can be definitely skipped, right? Don't read them. Coming to the second page. Usually this area is reserved for most of the politically related elections हो गए कि भाई दूसरे schemes के political comments. This is reserved for that. You can skip this, right? Most of the time. But read this article, sorry, read this heading and understand if it is important or not. Coming to the fourth section, this thing. As I mentioned, all the newspapers, they are aligning their publications according to demand of the examination. And Hindu particularly gives this section for data analysis. कि भाई, in this particular newspaper, they have given comparative advantage of US over Iran compared to their warheads. है ना? But you need not remember कि कितने exactly US के पास warheads है, क्या warheads है, etc. But what you need to learn is this, कि भाई exactly कौन सी missile है उनके पास. How does it work, right? Is it ballistic? Is it cruise missile? If you don't know what is ballistic and cruise missile, just Google them and learn about ballistic and cruise missiles, right? So that's how you extrapolate and read, and eventually you will be reducing the syllabus coverage wala timing, right? जो भी 8-9 महीने में you are planning to cover your entire syllabus, that will reduce to 6 to 7 months. How? Because you have already covered bits and pieces of the newspaper, sorry, of the syllabus earlier itself by reading the newspaper, है ना? You need not have to wait कि भाई साइंस एंड टेक जब मैं शुरू करूंगा तब मैं बैलिस्टिक एंड क्रूज मिसाइल्स पढ़ूंगा. आज आ गया, आज पढ़ के खत्म कर दो, right? Anyhow you have to complete it, why not today? That's what I was telling कि भाई you will be winning small battles each and every day. Now, text and context is a very important page which has been coming in the Hindu from past 2 to 3 years, and this is completely oriented for UPSC aspirants because it will be based upon any controversial topic which has been going on, and they will be explaining end to end कि भाई वो चीज़ क्या है, what is the background of it, what is the controversy, and what is the way forward. Each and everything is explained by them in this particular page, and this page is very much important for you to cover. Now, again, this is the national newspaper. You have to go through the syllabus copy, pick up few articles, what are the keywords in that article, and extrapolate and read. And again, right, so elections are happening in multiple states, so they will be giving a page for elections as well. You can completely ignore this page. That is there कि भाई कुछ peculiar representation of people act के clauses or sub clauses they will be asking as prelims question or mains question. that you can cover through magazines, right? You need not cover the entire page. Sorry, you need not cover the entire page to get a few pennies of the information. Okay? Now, this is the business page that is related to economy. As I mentioned in the earlier starting of the session itself, you can skip economy and international relations completely for now. You need not follow it through the newspaper. है ना? This is an international relations page. इसमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा important ये हो जाएगा कि भाई they will be mentioning a few places in news, right? You need not scan the entire page and find those one or two cities mentioned and compile it. The coaching institutions will do it for you. You can just follow them blindly. है ना? Now, as I mentioned, sports page, even though questions are coming, you can completely ignore them, right? Now, this is a just overall gist which I have given how to read this newspaper. Eventually, what we can do is, if you are not able to follow, what exactly which article I should be picking it up and how I should be extrapolating, what we'll be doing is we will do this exercise. We are doing this for our hustle program wale students. How to exactly pick up what every day what we have to pick up from the newspaper and what we have to read and make notes out of it, that we are doing for the hustle program students. Okay? But if you are not able to do this, what we'll do is for 1 week or let's say 10 days, every day we will come on this screen, we'll go through the newspaper, we'll identify what are the articles related to UPSC and what have to be done, right? And we will make sure that you are making learnings out of it. Okay? But one thing you have to remember, as I mentioned in the starting of the video itself, this particular habit of reading newspaper has to be incorporated in your daily life uncompromised. ठीक है कि भाई you are falling ill, whatever it is, दिन के 2-3 घंटे तो आराम से आप निकाल ही सकते हो. Whatever your condition is, you can pick it up and you can read them, है ना? And coming to the physical or PDF copy, that completely depends upon your comfort of reading, right? अगर आपके पास physical copy की availability है, then well and good. If you want कि भाई you don't have resources to spend on newspaper, you can just comment newspaper below this video, है ना? Comment के अंदर we will be pasting the link from which you can download all the Hindu newspaper, Indian Express वाले newspapers freely available on the cloud. ठीक है? So that's it for today, guys. We'll be joining for further such sessions for 2027 aspirants. We will be resolving whatever the doubts are there related to your preparations in the upcoming sessions. If you want us to address any particular issue which you are facing, if you want clarity on that, do drop your queries in the comment section below. We will be taking up a new video on that. All right. That's it for today, guys. Have a nice day and happy reading.